All right, and welcome back to episode 24 of the Alec Frengos show. This is a sports podcast centered around NBA and NFL. And today we'll be recapping week one, really, and giving our Thursday night football predictions and maybe some week two NFL predictions. I'm just joined today here by Joey Price. And I want to ask you first, just me and you, what are you thinking of the Broncos' loss against the Raiders, which seemed like last week at this time it was an absolute lock?
Yeah. I don't know, it's obviously disappointing. A division opponent at home against what we thought was going to be a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they'll be bad, but I think it was just the fact that we lacked offensive explosiveness. Like, we have no one, a burner that can separate downfield. Sutton's just a big body receiver. Dulcich went out. The O-line played pretty well, and Russ played well, but overall it just wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then the defense, Damari Mathis, he needs to get his head in the game. Like, brutal, letting Jacoby Myers 2 touchdowns. It's terrible. And then Will Lutz, he lost us the game.
He did, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
he missed 4 points, and we lost by 1.
Yeah, obviously I was watching all the games, really. But just glancing at the Broncos, it did seem like there were no big plays the whole game.
Nothing.
There wasn't where, like, you see on the TV and then it's like, oh, the Broncos have moved from the 20 to the opposite team's 40, right? That's something that's going to hurt you because I feel like every team in the NFL has that one play where it's a deep shot downfield to either get you a field goal or lead to a touchdown. So, One thing, though, about the Broncos, I think the run game was pretty good.
It was decent, yeah.
Ryan and Williams, but they got the Commanders week 2, and if they can't win that game, I think playoff hopes go out the window instantly. Yep. I think this one already makes it pretty hard to come back from. I had the Broncos sweeping the Raiders, but seems like I think the Raiders look like a much better team than people expected to. Yeah. I only had them getting, I think, 4 or 5 wins, but you never know what that team. Jimmy Garoppolo has just been a winner his whole career. He knows Josh McDaniels' offense. He's got Adams. He's got Josh Jacobs. Jacoby Myers, like you said, cooked Damari Mathis. And I don't know, are they kind of underrated, you think, or are they still just kind of...
Same old Raiders. They won't be good.
Nothing, just a low floor,
Yep.
No ceiling. But yeah, we can go through a couple questions. We can go, what was the biggest surprise this week to you? Games, performance, anything?
I think I have to say the Jets winning that game against Buffalo. Obviously,
of course.
Losing Aaron Rodgers, just the emotional toll it took on the players. Like, Rodgers said, sorry, kid, to Garrett Wilson. And then another one, I'd say the Rams beating the Seahawks.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The Rams, their defense is just Donald, and the Seahawks can score points. So it's just a disappointment when the Seahawks were supposed to be an explosive offense.
Yeah, people are trying to throw them into the dark horse Super Bowl contenders, and you can't beat Rams, so I'd already throw that picture out of the window as well. There's just a lot of things leading up to this season that you could already throw toast away. Justin Fields MVP, you could also throw that out the window, which leads me to the same thing. I was really impressed with Jordan Love, even though it's the Bears' defense. He just looked really calm, collected, poised. Right here I have in this book when we were doing the NFC North record predictions. This is a team I could be very wrong about. Lots of talent. If Jordan Love is good off the jump, this team can be an easy playoff team. The defense, They had a pick 6. I don't know. I think they just had the pick 6. Weren't letting the Bears move the chains at all. And the Packers were very, very impressive in this week 1 for sure. And like you were talking about, the Aaron Rodgers injury and how does it really impact the Jets. We can go a little bit into that. I think that obviously, me as well, I took Garrett Wilson first round in fantasy, and it feels like my season's over already just because Aaron Rodgers was the reason I took Garrett Wilson, and it just sucks to see first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best QBs in the NFL, still just go down very easily because the Jets had a lot of expectations. Every year there's really a build-up for each storyline. 2020, it was Buccaneers get Tom Brady. 2021, Rams get Matt Stafford. 2022, Broncos get Russell Wilson, which eventually hasn't worked out yet, but still, there's been these elite quarterbacks flip-flopping, and the whole offseason has just changed to them, and it feels like Aaron Rodgers really going out with that injury is devastating. You saw the whole place going crazy. Jets fans thinking it's finally time to flip the script on their franchise, and it just won't happen. Will Rodgers come back? I personally think he's done, but
Really?
people think he can come back. I don't think Rodgers will play again.
What was that caption he posted?
He said he'll be back, or some quote, I think, but you can go ahead. What do you think? Let me pull it up here.
I just think Aaron Rodgers, like, this team had so much hype bringing in, a Hall of Fame quarterback, top 5 maybe ever.
Yep.
And then you pair it with the young talent, like they had the offensive rookie of the year and defense rookie of the year. The defense, top 3 for sure, could be number 1. And then Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook in the run game. It's a hard team to stop. But ultimately, the Jets are going to jet, and they can't have anything special ever.
Rodgers says on Instagram, he says, "Thank you for every person that has reached out, called, texted, DM'd, connected through a friend, etc. It has meant a ton to me, and I'll try to get back to all of you soon. I'm completely heartbroken and moving through all the emotions, but deeply touched and humbled by the support and love. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers as I begin the healing process today." And the quote he says at the end here, the night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again." So I don't know if he's trying to basically say, I'm coming back, let me recover. But Rodgers is this guy where you never know what he's going to do. Social media, you never know when he was going to request a trade out of Green Bay. You never know when he's going to do any of this, the darkness retreat stuff and everything. I just feel like Rodgers is done. And obviously you've seen all these Instagram doctors come on here and say, a lot of them called out the Achilles injury, and it's a tough injury to get back from, according to them, right? So, one, will Rodgers want to do it? And 2, can Rodgers physically do it? I think he physically can.
Yeah.
Just based off of, he's not a very mobile person, obviously. I think Rodgers coming off an Achilles, someone said this on the Pat McAfee show, a doctor, he said he'd still be more mobile than Brady that he was the year he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think, because Rodgers likes to move out sometimes, throws on the run. Brady was just stagnant in the pocket and just throwing. I think Rodgers could still do that and be a very effective quarterback, but I think it's, to me, if Rodgers will want to do this, because it's a long process. Was it meant to be to just play for Green Bay? There's just so many factors, I think, that comes into it, where does he want to run this thing all the way back? And do you think he plays again?
I do, but the Jets, they definitely need to upgrade their O-line before he plays again.
That's the reason.
Because you're starting Dwayne Brown. He's almost 40 years old, I think.
That's who was on Leonard Floyd when he hit him. But I don't even know if Leonard Floyd ran free because the ball was supposed to come out quick, or Dwayne Brown he got burned.
I think he just got burned.
I'd have to replay it again. But yeah, I'm not completely sure. But still, I don't know. It's tough for the Jets, obviously. And me personally, I got to put them out of the playoff picture. I don't even see them, because people are saying this defense can will them. The defense was really the same as last year. We all know what the defense is. It's top tier.
Yeah.
And really, I don't think that's going to be able to win you games. They're going to play Dallas next week. I really think that the Dallas defense has a chance of scoring more points than the Jets offense.
Yeah.
I think it's very realistic, just based off of Zach Wilson couldn't move the ball. He had a couple nice throws here and there. The touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, it was all Garrett Wilson. That was a spectacular catch. It's week 1, but it might be the catch of the season. It will definitely be in that conversation, but I don't know. This team, they're definitely out of the playoff picture. I had them out of the playoffs with Rodgers, but it was just one of those teams where you were so excited to watch them finally play. Rodgers comes out first drive, incomplete, run, pass interference. Leonard Floyd comes free, sacks him. Night's over, and people want to also say the Achilles with the wet grass on turf, which I feel like, you think it's that big of a difference, turf versus grass?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Because I've played on both in my life, but not football on both, well, I guess, but playing soccer, you're on turf and you're on grass.
Yeah.
I get why some people say grass is way better than turf, comfortability-wise, because the turf's obviously a harder surface, plus when it rains and stuff. But J.K. Dobbins, M&T Bank Stadium, he tore his Achilles on grass.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely depends how the person tackles you and how you land, or if it's a non-contact, right? That's where the people say turf and stuff. But I guess people want grass, and I think if the players really want grass that much, I think they should just all get grass. And MetLife Stadium's one of the worst turfs in the league, right?
Yeah.
So that could obviously play a little factor, but there's obviously lots of factors, right? Age, way you got tackled, just so much stuff. But going on to the other part of this game, the Buffalo Bills. My second round pick was Josh Allen, sadly. So if he keeps playing like this, yeah, my season is definitely toast. But I don't think he will. But talking about the game,
He was horrible.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I get the Jets defense is good, but you don't go on Pat McAfee show and say this is different this year. ESPN goes and says we've been so locked in, all this stuff. The Diggs drama, put it aside. Diggs had a fantastic game, but that's besides the point. Josh Allen, every time you're in pressure, you don't chuck it up.
No.
Take a sack for once in your life. Did he take a sack last night? Maybe one?
Yeah, maybe one.
But I think it's the first interception. Getting sacked, launches it. Deontay Hardy with the corner and then the safety over top. Jordan Whitehead, all 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's one interception. Another one, basically same situation. Rolls out to the left, crossbody, launches it to the end zone with Diggs. Jordan Whitehead over top with a corner. Interception. The other one, Sauce and Whitehead communicate. Whitehead comes down on the breakout of Gabe Davis, jumps it, 3rd interception. So where's the work ethic of Josh Allen showing us he's a different player? Like you said,
No.
I won't forget it when I gave my MVP Josh Allen pick. You said he's got to cut out the turnovers.
Yeah. Well,
He's on pace for 60 interceptions.
that's not going to help.
I don't get this, and it's just so frustrating to see Josh Allen be the same player that he was since his rookie year.
Yeah.
I guess he's obviously gotten marginally better, but the clumsy mistakes, they never leave his body. It's like a teenager playing football out there. Mm-hmm. It's just every once in a while you get bored of the check down for a first down and you just want to cannon it. I get you have rare physical attributes to be able to play, but
Yeah.
it's unacceptable. You're in the NFL. There's guys paying you $50 million a year and you want to go out here and just do what you want to do. It's just upsetting. I think they do kill the Raiders next week.
Yeah.
At home, Bills. They're going to be pissed. Josh Allen's a very emotional player. He's going to be, he was super down on himself. Felt like he was defeated. It's the first game. Bills make the playoffs still, especially with the Jets being out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen's going to have a pretty big game, but I'm still very ticked off on how he plays. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do think Josh Allen bounces back because, like you say, he's an emotional player. And going against the Raiders, that defense is awful. And the home opener, that crowd's going to be loud.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, he's going to want to prove the haters wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I'd be all over his overpassing yards.
Yeah.
In this one, but 3 interceptions to the Jets. Obviously, it's a good defense.
Yep.
But you still can't let that happen, especially on the one where he had wide open first down to just run. And he just forces it to Diggs. Maybe it's a psychological thing where he's just like, I got to force it to him because, you know, people need to see our connection strong.
Yeah.
But
it's a good point.
Yeah, Allen, he'll be back.
One thing, too, that worries me as having him as my MVP pick and my fantasy QB, when you run for a first down and you're a quarterback, you slide down or you step out of bounds, especially when you're right here in the sidelines right here. Just step out of bounds.
Yeah.
One time, he's got the first down, drops his shoulder into a linebacker and a safety. Okay, maybe whatever. I get you're trying to be the hero for Buffalo and all this stuff. Other one, I think they're 3rd and 20 maybe. He's 6 yards past the line of scrimmage. No chance of getting the first down. Goes and tries to hurdle 2 guys. So you kind of just hold your breath and sit there like, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. It's just so concerning because one day if he keeps playing like this, one day he's gonna get a very bad injury.
Yeah.
Very bad. I get you're built like a linebacker and stuff, but you're a QB. You can't handle shoulder injuries like these linebackers play through, like knee sprains. Like, you don't do that. You just have to play way more conservative and just relax and calm down. Just play your game. Take the checkdowns when you have them. They're gonna draw up deep shots for you, so take them when you get them and just stop the turnovers, please.
Especially week 1, like, just running into linebacker, it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
If it's a AFC championship,
I get
go
that
ahead.
for sure, but week 1, like, there's still 16 other games to be played, and you need to be there in the playoffs to prove you are a top quarterback in this league. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, some of the stuff is just the same stuff we've seen every time from Josh Allen. So we could talk about a couple other games. You got any games in mind that really surprised you? Or
from week 1, obviously the Buccaneers beating the Vikings. I didn't watch much of this game, but seemed like Baker Mayfield did his thing.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about too, which I took as my upset pick. I don't really know. It wasn't really an upset to me. The Dolphins beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
I know you're high on Herbert coming into this year, who did have a great game. It's just that both defenses didn't show up. Two obviously phenomenal game. Tyreek Hill, phenomenal game. This team, I feel like every week 1, there's a line that I just see where a team's not favored that I feel like is going to win. Last year was the Giants going into Tennessee. I had the Giants winning that game, which was a pretty big upset. But I don't know. I feel like week 1, you don't know a lot, but I feel like there's a couple games where you know what's going to happen, kind of. And I just felt like the Dolphins going into LA. LA doesn't have a rowdy crowd at all. Wasn't too difficult for Tua to score and the Chargers to score. You got to think, too, the Dolphins' first drive, they fumbled, too, on the 1-yard line. So that could have been another 7 points. The Dolphins almost scored 40 on the Chargers, which has a bunch of superstars on defense. J.C. Jackson, honestly, one of the worst games of his career, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Both these teams, I think, are definitely going to be in the mix. I have them both in the playoffs, but Tua definitely did look good. I think Mike McDaniel's phenomenal. I feel like that's the majority of the offense. The way he can get Tyreek Hill open, having Jalen Waddle along with him, just as kind of almost like a decoy sometimes for speed. It's unfair for some defensive coordinators to them, and Dolphins look good week 1.
Another game, Browns beating the Bengals. I thought the Browns are going to win this game, but that dominantly, shutting down Burrow 82 yards and taking him out of the game for injury risk, really impressive.
To me, I think the weather also fits the Browns' DNA more than the Bengals. Pound the ball. And we all know, we all said it, Bengals don't like to show up week 1 for some reason.
They don't.
I don't know. Like, they literally don't want to show up week 1. T. Higgins, 0 receptions for 0 yards. Jamar Chase, 4 receptions for 40 yards? Something terrible. Burrow, 82 yards, like you said, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But, yeah. I feel like the Browns, it's kind of like the Lions-Chiefs. The Browns are, like, hungry to get into this. And the Bengals are kind of a team where we're going to ease into it. We're going to start picking up. Next week, they play the Ravens at home.
Yeah, they're at home.
Bengals play the Ravens at home. I think that's going to be a very fun game. Lamar didn't have his best performance either against the Texans, which I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I think that it has to be better. Obviously, not having Mark Andrews hurts too. J.K. Dobbins is already down a little bit on that injury too. I think, obviously, feel for J.K. Dobbins, but I think that we've seen him in the Ravens offense, and I think that the offense will be just fine. Any running back in an RPO with Lamar is really going to have their own.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be fine on that part, but yeah. Another one too, if you want to go into a little bit of it, Steelers versus 49ers. 49ers deliver an ass kicking in Pittsburgh. People thought this would be like an upset type of game. Mike Tomlin, hard-nosed defense. Kenny Pickett, second year with George Pickens. Are they going to break out? Just a lot of narratives where like the 49ers, people didn't want to say they were a week 1 team, which I said a week ago. I think that was kind of a fluke with the Trey Lance torrential downpour in Chicago week 1 last year. But what do you think of this game?
Well, the 49ers defense sure did show out.
Yeah.
And McCaffrey, 150 yards.
Crazy run for a touchdown.
Like, Pittsburgh's defense was non-existent, especially Patrick Peterson. Like,
oh boy, he talked way too much to get
way
cooked.
too much on a pod. Like, what do you do? Like, IU torched you.
Yeah.
And this secondary, I knew it would be a struggle, but yeah, this defense needs to come to play next week.
TJ Watt, I think he had 2 sacks and a fumble recovery too. I think he had his own if you want to pull up the box score, but Brandon Ayuk, he was one of my player breakout candidates here coming into the season, and boy did he ever show out. I just think that Debo's just used in a way where he's not a pure wide receiver, right? So Brandon Ayuk's really the wide receiver 1 in that offense, and he showed it. Brock Purdy, it's looking like that's his go-to guy here in the crucial passing plays. Brandon Ayuk, he ran some nasty routes, made Patrick Peterson touch the grass in the end zone. 2 touchdowns. One was a head tap on Peterson, then one was he just snapped him in half. So, rough day for Peterson. I didn't see much of Joey Porter Jr.
No, I don't think they played him much.
I didn't see much of him, but bless you, TJ Watt had his own for sure. Do you have his stats up there?
Yeah, he had 3 sacks.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It just felt like non-existent sacks to me.
Yeah. Well, they didn't really mean much when they're already down by 20.
For sure. Looking at some other games here, we got obviously the Rams Seahawks. We can kind of forgot about this one. Cowboys Giants. I said to my dad, I expected this. I expected a Dallas Cowboys ass whooping, not 40-0.
No.
I was expecting like a 28-7 kind of thing. And Dallas Cowboys, they showed it. They're still a regular season team until they prove it in the playoffs, but damn, Micah Parsons is some scary human being. He gets after the quarterback like crazy, and Dak in the offense didn't have to do much. Tony Pollard, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had his couple of yards. But the defense, right out of the gate, blocked field goal. Take Noah Ignogby, I don't even know how to pronounce that, takes it back for 6. Right off the gate, you know that game's going to be a blowout. Daniel Jones, did he have a fumble? No. I don't know. Did the Cowboys... Oh, they had a pick 6, where they popped it out to Saquon. The guy caught it, run in. That's 14 points right there. And the Giants, I wasn't super high on going into this season, and I'm kind of glad I didn't make them kind of doing the same as last year going to the playoffs, because I just don't really see the upside again. And this team, that just Daniel Jones got paid for
what?
Just seems like no reason.
Yeah.
You paid him over Saquon Barkley, which is your whole offense, and adding Darren Waller in the preseason, you were using him 24/7, and now you don't want to throw to him. It's kind of weird to me, but what do you think of this? Obviously, you're pretty high on the Cowboys, so
I was high on the Cowboys and pretty low on the Giants. Like you said, paying Daniel Jones when he really hasn't proved much. Obviously, he won a playoff game last year, but really I just put that win on Brian Daboll.
Absolutely.
But it just seemed like the offense was so underprepared, and they need to work on their fumbling issues because, they had 5?
Yeah, I get it was raining, whatever.
But, still just tuck the ball and just be smarter out there.
One thing, too, Brian Daboll can only do so much for Daniel Jones. He's not out there playing, right? Jones has to execute it at some point. Daboll obviously cooked up a perfect game for the Giants against the Vikings. Vikings defense ain't that good either last year. So I guess it was kind of easy for Daniel Jones to succeed as long as the run defense, too, with the Vikings with Saquon in that playoff game, going along with the easy passing completions with the depleted secondary. So there's certain matchups where Daniel Jones will thrive, but when you put him in a hostile situation kind of like this hungry Cowboys defense, he's doomed.
Yeah.
Like you saw, they beat the Vikings, they played the Eagles. What happened? Daboll can only do so much. Eagles deliver an ass whooping in a divisional round that didn't even seem like a playoff game. I feel like this team won't make the playoffs. Daniel Jones, Like, if he has a terrible year this year, do they think about taking a quarterback? Like, what do they do? They're just stuck.
Yeah.
They're very, very stuck right now. So, yeah, I don't really know. I ain't got really much to say about Daniel Jones, except that he doesn't really move me anymore, and he kind of got paid and maybe robbed the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, anything else, really?
No, 40-0, not much.
Saints defeat the Titans.
That game was just the Titans lost it themselves. It was mainly Ryan Tannehill's fault.
Yeah.
But
And then Falcons, Panthers. Ritter doesn't want to throw the ball, but I guess running it every play works.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, I think he had a touchdown and an interception. I saw Jesse Bates had the nice interception there. And the one game I didn't really watch a lot was Jaguars-Colts. Did you see a lot of that game?
I watched the second half of the game. Anthony Richard, he looked fine.
That's good. I like to see
he was
that.
good too. It's just, I don't know, just two quarterbacks kind of dueling. It will be fun to watch for the next
definitely
couple
will
of years.
be fun. Ridley looked also pretty good too.
Yes.
So going into Thursday Night Football Week 2, we've got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And last year this game happened and it was a disaster for the Vikings. They came off a huge Week 1 win against the Packers, traveled to Philadelphia on a Monday night again and got destroyed. Jefferson didn't do much. Irv Smith, I remember, was dropping passes. Kirk Cousins had a couple picks, and it was a disaster. So will this story be the same time around, or do you think it will kind of change up?
I think the Vikings will keep it close in this one because I don't think this Eagles defense is as good as people think. I think it got a little worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vikings offense, they're going to go out and show people. Or Justin Jefferson, he doesn't have to prove anything.
He's going to be pissed off.
But he's going to be mad. He'll go out there, and Kirk Cousins, he should be throwing some passes.
I can't. Because you can't even say Jefferson's going to go out there and feast, because you could say Jamar Chase can go out there and feast. Kelsey can go out there and feast because they have somebody secure throwing them the ball. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins, it's like you want to say Jefferson, 100 yards is a lock, but who knows if Kirk Cousins goes out 2 interceptions. I get Kirk Cousins throws for a lot of yards, but it seems like he can't get his number one the ball a lot of the times. And if there's play calls for him to do that, but he just doesn't deliver in some moments. But really in this game, I think we've got a 7-point spread, right?
Yeah.
I do like the Vikings to keep it close, but ultimately the Eagles winning. I just think that the Vikings are going to be pissed off after losing to the Buccaneers, which should have never happened. Jordan Addison was very impressive to me week 1 too. He showed out, and if Bradbury's out because of that concussion, I believe he is out. Addison will have his for sure. It will be Slay on Jefferson. Slay likes to travel around, so that'll be fun once again. And they don't got Gardner Johnson right over the top, which played in a pretty big role last year. So I think this game will be a pretty high scoring game. Do we have the over under?
I think it's at like 49 now.
Yeah, so I think each team could score around 3 to 4 touchdowns each.
Yeah.
It's just gonna rely on that Vikings O-line. Christian Darrisaw questionable
too, right?
And then I believe I forget the center's name. Is it Bradbury?
Yeah.
Bradbury, right? Yeah, he's also out. So that interior with Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter,
Jordan Davis.
It could get scary in the trenches for the Vikings, especially being on the road. A lot of false starts, maybe a lot of sacks. We'll have to wait and see, but I think the Eagles' defense is going to probably have a day as well. They'll have a couple sacks, but I think the Vikings' defense will be able to respond at times. You got to get the ball out quick on this defense.
Mm-hmm.
I get they've got Slay on Jefferson, but you got to somehow get him the ball. I think Kevin O'Connell will come with a good game plan. And the Eagles' offense, I think they're just going to do what they usually do. They had a down game against New England, which we didn't talk about that game, but I think the Patriots did play pretty well and held their own. But I think Jalen Hurts will have his rushing touchdown or 2. Swift, obviously, if you said Gainwell's out tomorrow, Devonta Smith will have his. Swift will have a couple carries. But yeah, Goddard, he didn't have a reception against New England.
No.
He'll probably get back in the mix here, back on track. But Eagles offense against the Vikings defense, once again, I think it won't really be too hard of a task.
Yeah.
I think it's just will the Vikings be able to keep up with the Eagles, I think will be the name of the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
But what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think the Vikings keep it close like what you're thinking. I think this offense can outperform the Eagles' defense, and Kevin O'Connell coming with a game plan. I think the public really likes the Eagles in this one. It's just like home game, didn't perform well. I think Jalen Hurts will play very well.
Yeah.
I think it'll be high scoring, but I do think the Eagles will be able to keep up with the the Vikings will be able to keep up with the Eagles' offense.
Yeah, I just think that's going to be the whole game, I think. I think if Philadelphia starts the ball, they're going to go. They're going to get the crowd going, home opener, right? They're going to bring in a touchdown. It's going to be how the Vikings are going to have to respond. The Eagles are going to get their 25, 28 points in this game. It's just, will the Vikings be able to get the 25 points to keep up with the Eagles, or are they going to get the 20 points when they're already down 15? Because that's how it was last game when they played. So, like you said, a lot of the people, if you look at on social media, you ask people around there, Eagles. The Vikings aren't like some team like the Bears or Texans here, where this spread's a lock to me. I think the Vikings are a pretty respective team. If the offense can get clicking, I think this is the line originally opened at like 8.5. It obviously went down because I think the Vikings will keep it within a touchdown, especially last year. You're going to remember, it's the exact same week. What happened, you played like trash, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a Vikings cover. Maybe, I won't say it, but maybe a sneaky upset if everything goes perfect. But I think the O-line injuries are definitely going to hurt them a lot. So Eagles win with a Vikings cover is going to be my prediction.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so anything else you want to add here? Broncos Commanders, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Broncos Commanders, you said it earlier, this must-win game. Must-win game to stay in the playoffs. Now that the Jets are could be out of it. It's a Broncos time to strike. And I think second home playoff game, Sean Payton looking for his first win as head coach. I think they get it done.